Hi everyone from Giaco. After living over a decade in Finland, I decided to help building a bridge between the English-speaking people living in Finland and the local community. Listen to my podcast to discover the most interesting and incredible people from Finland and to dig into Finnish culture and controversial issues that impact all of us in our daily life. And now sit back and enjoy listening. Bye! Hi everyone. The following is a conversation with Hannu Toivonen, a professor of computer science at the University of Helsinki. Hannu is an expert in artificial intelligence, AI, and he has been in the field for over 30 years. With him, we talk about AI, starting from the technical point of view, we follow with its application, and we touch also the moral and cultural aspect of this technology that it's all around now. He is tremendously knowledgeable, but really clear and precise in his explanation. There is a lot to learn from his talk. Please enjoy. Hi. Hi, Hannu. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, thank you for coming here and talk with me and to the listener. So, can you tell something about you, who you are, and then we will discover why I invited you here.
I'm a professor of computer science at the University of Helsinki. I research and I teach students, and my areas are different topics within artificial intelligence or AI.
And that's exactly because AI, it's a topic that is on everyone's mouth, and I guess that not everyone has the same understanding.
Right.
And I think it would be good both to know that you teach us a bit what you like the fundamentals, and then you tell us like what it is, and then we going through like what are the changes that this is giving us, and what is in Finland the situation, what is the research, and how is Finland plays into this world race, because there has been already told that the new gold rush is not gold, but it's data mining, and data is the new gold,
right,
and a new coin for the future.
Yeah.
So there is a lot, but maybe I would like to start to asking like why do you study this? How did you? What is so interesting in AI, and how did you became?
Isn't everyone interested in AI? I think that's a fascinating topic. What could be more interesting than the idea of and the question of making machines act in intelligent or meaningful ways. I ended up in the field 33 years ago. I was a student of computer science, and I applied for a summit job at Nokia Research Center. They had a department of knowledge technologies. I think that was the term. That means the same as AI, effectively. But at that time, AI was not a popular term. So knowledge technologies. And what we did was develop expert systems for clients of Nokia. At that point, Nokia had Nokia Data, the unit which sold computers and computer systems to banks, insurance companies, and so on. And we developed systems to run on those computers to determine pensions or insurance, do calculations for insurances and so on. They are regulated by a huge number of different laws and decrees and so on. So we developed rule-based systems.
So data has been around as long as computer has been around.
Well, the importance of data has grown increasingly because of the digitalization, and computers, but then internet, of course, made a huge difference in the capability to collect and especially transmit data. And then the increasing computing power made it feasible to collect more data, to be transferred, and essentially to be analyzed.
Yeah,
and then it also utilized.
More complex analysis. Yeah, and now it's fancy to say artificial intelligence.
Now it's very fashionable again.
Yes. But so, what is the fastest, easiest, simplest definition of artificial intelligence?
There are so many, and people understand it differently, and there's no single correct understanding. I think it would be useful often to think of AI as computer programs that act in a rational way. So the term intelligence is a bit problematic because it makes us think about human intelligence and makes us compare computer programs to humans. While in fact, in the research field of AI, what we are trying to do is to make computers act in a rational manner. But very few of people in the research field of AI talk about intelligence. That's like the tip of the iceberg only.
Okay. So it's more of a marketing name given to talk about a much wider phenomenon.
Yes, it's a marketing name that we use. Now that AI is fashionable, we are happy to tell we are AI researchers. Before it was knowledge engineering, or it was data mining, it was data science. Then, of course, media, newspapers, TV, radio shows, podcasts use AI because people are interested in AI. And I guess partially it's because of the word intelligence. It immediately brings into mind the relationship or comparison to humans.
Yeah, it makes it somehow like human and humanistic. So it makes it also sometimes scary.
Right. And the media uses that, of course, to the fullest. So they like to use provocative, extreme headlines, either about the risks of AI or about the potential benefits. So it goes both ways. There's lots of hype, but also lots of doomsday talk.
Yeah.
I think we should take the word intelligence in artificial intelligence as a metaphor. We try to make computers do something that is in some sense similar to human intelligence. But human intelligence is really not the aim of 99% of AI research.
Because anyway, these programs, they act rationally, but in a predetermined way, because there have been rule written into the program. So they do use like some sort of intelligence, but it's limited to the rules applied, to the rules coded into, and the rules they have to apply.
Yes and no. That holds especially for the old-fashioned rule-based AI, which was what I was doing in year 1990 when I joined Nokia.
Okay.
Then what became very popular and powerful as well was machine learning, where you do not program the rules anymore. You don't give the rules in a form that you or me could understand, but you make the machine learn how to produce, or let's say how to analyze images. Machine learning is based on imitation. So you give the program examples of what you want it to do. Often it's conceptually something simple. Given an image, you want the program to learn to recognize if there's a cat or not. So the way you train this machine learning based program is that you give it hundreds, thousands, millions of images. Some contain cats, some don't. And you have somebody mark each image.
And that's the people
with the information, whether it contains a cat or not.
Yeah, when you have to verify that you are not a robot and you are a human being. And
right,
so
we are tricked to do some of this training.
We are training the AI.
Yeah. And then the software learns, okay, if I have an image, I'm looking at this and this kind of features in the image, and I try to imitate the tag or mark on that image that a human would give. Does this contain a cat or not? They don't know what a cat is. They just try to extract features from the image that help them imitate the human decision.
Stuff that are in common.
Yeah. And so
common factors.
If this is done with neural networks, there's no way for humans to look inside the program and see what are the rules. So it learns some sort of rules or patterns or generalizations.
Okay, now you introduced a new term, neural network. So
All right.
we have to tell what that is.
Okay,
So
how much time do we have?
well, of course, we have to make it concise, a bit short,
Right.
but because otherwise the meaning might not get fully understood.
Yeah.
So
So a neural network consists of usually a very large number of units called neurons. And they, in an artificial neural network, in the computer program, the inspiration for this model has come from human brain. It's not really an imitation, but let's say the human brain is an inspiration. So in a neural network, you have these units, neurons, a bit
like in our brains.
Like in our brains.
And they are computers in artificial
They are tiny computing units. They do some, each of them does some very simple calculation, very simple arithmetics. And then they get some input from other neurons, they do their simple calculation, and they forward their result to the next ones. But when you have millions, if not billions of these neurons in your network, they can compute extremely complex functions. And now this extremely complex function could be that the neural network gets as input the image, each image pixel as a separate value. It computes some very complex function, and the result is either 1 or 0, where 1 means that
accepted
there's a cat or there's no cat.
Yeah, still it's binary.
Oh, no, often it's actually continuous, so it's between 0 and 1, and then it corresponds to the probability according to the neural network that there's a cat or there's not. And so there are two great things about neural networks. One is that you can compose it from very simple computing units. The other one is that it's impossible to specify the function to compute whether an image contains a cat or not. And the great thing then in these neural networks is that they can learn. So you give them examples and they start adjusting their tiny computations towards producing the same result as in the training data. 1 when there is a cat, 0 when there's none. And by repeating this training, you sort of tune.
They adjust themselves.
Yes, or there's a program, algorithm that adjusts the network, and it's gradually, the function it computes moves closer and closer to the one that takes an image and produces 1 if there's a cat. So we don't need to know what the function is, but we can make this system learn something like that.
Because probably computationally it would be impossible to go and make those rules and write and code those rules into each of those neurons computers. It's impossible. So we let the system learn by itself.
Yes.
But still there is a purpose, there is a set of data, and then they come out with a result that it's based on probabilities or anyway yes or no. So a set of data it's given and some sort of rules has been given at the beginning that find the cat.
The task.
The task,
and in many instances of machine learning also lots of examples of that. Here's a cat, here is no cat in this picture. Here's again a cat and here's none. So the task and examples of the intended results are given.
And this is machine learning.
Yes.
And machine learning and AI, do they differ?
Yes. AI is a huge field, and machine learning is part of that. But there are many other fields in AI as well. Like, for instance, planning. Let's say the robot needs to plan how to reach its goal. Or automated reasoning, when you have factual information, you have dependencies and rules, then doing the inference, that's something. Then there are different application fields where you may use machine learning or not, like producing text or understanding text or speech.
Or suggest me what should I buy next if I've bought like this and this. I bought a T-shirt and a hat, and so then the internet site said to me that like you should buy sunglasses because most likely you're going to a summer holiday, and 98% of the users they have been buying also this. So that's kind of predictive.
Yes.
Crunching data and
Right.
and trying to understand the trends and the common factors in it, and then make a educated guess.
Yes.
And
That's correct. But then, of course, if you talk about online shopping,
yeah, this was
it's not just the AI system predicting what else you might need, but it's also the business owner who tunes the AI, the recommendation system, to sell more.
Why that
sell
is
items
AI,
that make more profit.
Yeah, sure. Of course, the intention is to sell more, but why that is not machine learning? Because it's learning from data coming from the users. I mean, it's an AI.
Okay, so AI is a broader term, and it includes machine learning. So recommendation systems, you can call them machine learning. By all means, it's maybe not the most traditional application for machine learning, and it's been done also under different terms. But maybe one point that I'd like to make is that trying to define strict boundaries for what is machine learning and what is not, and much importantly, what is AI and what is not, is not fruitful. It's not useful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So often people ask, okay, this and this system, is it AI or is it not? I say, who cares?
Yeah.
If it does what it's intended to do, it works in a rational manner, then I don't mind if you call it AI, even if it works in a mechanistic and sort of simple way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the AI goes kind of like beyond that. It's a more complicated, wider system. There is, as you were saying, if they are like system learning or predicting how a task or a job should be done, and then we go until like creative AI that can create. So
right. Yeah. Now that's an interesting topic. So my personal research area for the past 10 years or so has been mostly creative AI. The question of how to make computer programs that act in a creative manner, that produce something that is novel and appropriate for the task. That's more or less the definition of creativity. But not just looking at the output, if that is novel and appropriate, but also the processes inside the computer program. If we only look at the output, we don't really know if it's been given to the program and then it just copies it to the output, and it looks creative to me because I hadn't seen it before. So much of what we did has been to look at the computer programs under the hood. What's inside? How do they work? And can we somehow analyze them and the acts they do? Like, do they themselves have some freedom to decide what they produce, or do they just do it sort of fully automated? Can they evaluate their own outputs and maybe adjust them?
So you want to take the creativity back there, like in the back room where all the processing is doing, not only like where it's visible outside.
Exactly. Yes.
Is it because we have AI that or programs that have produced music? Is that creativity?
It's the same thing as with AI. It's not useful to try to draw a binary border somewhere. This is creative, this is not. Not just like you are creative, but I'm not. There's no. It's we as humans are creative in many different ways, in different aspects, to different degrees.
Sure.
And the same holds for computer programs. And part of what we've been looking at is trying to find ways to talk about possible creativity in computer programs. So
I can see that you are in love with it, because I would talk about people in this kind of like sensitive way, that there are many degrees of creativity, you know, to respect also people, and you're respecting the machine in the same way you are talking. I see that why you've been 30 years.
I'm
in this.
enthusiastic, yes, but I don't respect the machine. Now that's maybe, if we go back to the public discussion on AI and how people, what kind of attitudes they have towards AI, a view where the a computer program, whether you call it AI or creative system or whatever, the amount of actorship that you give, or agency that you attribute to this system, varies, and we are keen on analyzing that, but sort of trusting the system is, what was the verb you used?
In the back there that you go, that you're trying to check what is going on the back door, like behind the scene on the hood under the in the program that you meant.
Yes. So we are interested in finding features in programs that we can sort of say that, okay, if we compare two systems, two computer programs, A and B, A is more creative in the respect that it can analyze its own behavior with respect to its goal, and it can adjust its own behavior if it's not reaching its goal, while system B only does what it's programmed to do. So we are trying to look for characteristics in the programs, in their design, in their behavior, that we can relate to creativity.
Even if it's maybe just like a feedback loop that the system...
Yes, a system with a feedback loop can be argued to be more creative than a system which does not have a feedback loop.
Yeah, and you can make that kind of loop more creative, so that there is a free of choice, there is agency from the program.
Yes.
And that's why the media starts to freak out and think about Terminator coming alive, because that's where you think like, okay, you're giving freedom to decide to a program.
Right. And now we have to be careful with the word freedom. So yes, we may want to give a creative system freedom in choosing how it does something, but still the degrees of freedom are designed by the programmer. It's not like giving the program a full freedom to do anything at all.
Loose end, just go and do.
Not to mention giving it the capabilities of acting in the world. So if we are talking about creativity in, I don't know, writing poetry, we are talking about the freedom that the programmer gives the system in deciding what to talk about, how to talk about it, and so on.
Create words and so forth. You know, of course, now we are jumping here and there, because anyway, it starts to become really interesting in my head, at least. You for sure know that there has been this case when it made also quite a big, not scandal, but it was a lot in the news, that was it Facebook bots, where two chatbots were put together and talk to each other. And then there was this news that they had to be shut down because they started to speak in between them a language that was unknown, and no one could understand what they were communicating between each other.
Right.
And that was, of course, a bit of a smoke, because it was just to make the news. At the end, I understood. Right. But then you can explain this, because, of course, I'm not the technical person here. But I understood that anyway they were just adjusting the language to be more effective, and the two bots understood that they could compress and communicate in a much linear, faster way.
Yeah, that's my recollection as well. They started leaving out symbols that were not useful or not necessary for the communication. So they just made it simpler in a sense.
Yes. But of course they were not complotting against ruling the world and taking over the world.
No.
But of course then the media, it made it sound so that that the chatbots are getting loose out of hand and no one knows what they are saying to each other.
Right.
But is there something truthful in that? Because one fear that has been out and not spoken by me because I'm not the technical person is that like what happens and is happening, and my understanding again, that what happens when AI starts coding itself and give to the AI the possibilities, because I know that there are programs for coding games that they are coded by AI to make codes more effective and so forth. So there are for sure tasks behind this self-coding, but isn't the threat that like let the machine code itself?
Right. There certainly are things that might go wrong. So usually it's done in a sandbox. So when you can have, for instance, a language model.
So it's a closed environment.
It's a closed environment, safe.
Sandbox.
So yeah. For instance, you can ask the language model to write code for you and to run it, but it's run like in a closed box with no connection to the outside world, and that's to prevent risks from something going wrong. Now, if you open then a small window so they can go outside and they can go and check a website for information. That's access to the outside world. Yeah. Now, if they can use any URL, any web address, they could actually go to nasty places and initiate nasty things. Yeah. But to have the information to do that, they don't have that. To have the will to do that, they don't have that. To see the consequences of that in the outside world, they don't have that.
Because it's not coded in the sandbox, this sterile environment.
Right. They don't even know they are in a sandbox. They are sort of completely not sentient in any way. Yeah. They just do what's in the program. But yes, there are risks. So if you run this kind of program, you don't know if it breaks your system or, I mean, it cannot do much more harm. You might break your own systems, but things like the worst you can do by going to a URL is cause some extra load on somebody else's servers, but they handle that.
Yeah, but is it so? Is it so that anyway this is done with computer? Of course, a lot of mathematics, and I guess that even though tools are accessible to everyone, anyway, there is a lot behind it. That it's in learning, understanding, and good mathematic basics, I believe, I guess. But is it accessible?
Sorry, I missed the beginning of your question. Can you start over?
Because everyone has like a computer, so like coding. There are many people that they say like, okay, now I will learn to code games, or I want to start learn coding, and you can follow different courses. You have a computer and you start. And coding and making whatever from small programs, whatever the program will do, you can do it with a computer by yourself in your own sandbox, and you have a development tool. But is it something that like everyone can just, or do you think, or is it so that anyone could unleash whatever program outside without notice that can damage and can be a threat of any sort?
What's the worst your computer could do if you let it run free?
If I don't code anything, probably it will just shut down.
Yeah. I mean, the system should have the some information of what to do in the world outside.
Go out and shut down every other computer.
Right. How do you do that?
I don't know, because I'm not so technical. That's why I'm wondering.
Because we are not computer programs.
Yeah.
The point is that there are cyber criminals who try to do something like that, and they don't succeed. And they have a lot of information. They have tools. They have AI at their disposal. Now, it's very difficult to imagine a scenario where a computer program somehow on its own would be able to do something like that where the experts fail. What would it drive the program to do that?
So the creator is smart and then the creation.
It's like Frankenstein or something else.
Sure. This is all fueled up by media, as you said, and by this kind of whether the articles and the information, it's kind of like scary. You either find the scary scenario that something really bad can happen, or then there is actually quite limited news about benefit of AI, and it's something that we have to go there at one point in this conversation, because there are benefits. But it's easy. You see, the media works so that like scandals, they catch fire faster. So it's easier to put out this kind of things, and people might have the idea that like, okay, AI is something terrible, that it's a threat, that every girl with a computer in a corner can start a war. This is
yeah. Unfortunately, there's talk like that, and maybe if we didn't have the word intelligence in AI, we would have less of
this kind of talking.
Yeah. If we were just talking about rational computer programs, well, that doesn't sound exciting. So I understand why people talk about AI.
It's so still coding, AI coding itself, you see it as a limited threat.
Yes. So I don't see an existential threat, but AI coding itself, or people using AI to produce code, has potential for many problems. There might be lots of errors in the code where in the best case it just doesn't work. In the worst case it does something stupid. But computer programs don't have the power to go out and change the world on their own.
Yeah, I think I read one article that like, I don't remember which company, but the AI was giving advices on who to hire or who to fire and what sort of like business decision they should have done, and then it was like it was all rubbish, because it was the premises and the ideas behind them were just, the data was not clean and not clear. So of course then it's people acting on this kind of thing. It's not the program itself.
Right, but now you touched on something very interesting. So if we go back a bit from code produced by AI, but just to machine learning, and using machine learning to automate different kinds of tasks. Now machine learning is based on data. You need the training data, the examples for the program them to imitate. And the world is often biased. You get data that maybe describes the world or your local culture accurately.
Yes, through your glasses.
But that might be biased. And then the system learns that bias. So talking about hiring, there are examples like Amazon. They developed a system for recruitment and ended up paying women less for the same job, because their system based on machine learning was using data where women were paid less.
Yeah, was fed those data, so
right.
It was reproducing the same.
Yeah, and then so this happens even when the data is correct. Now often, since you need lots of data to train your models, you use the data that's available for you, and it might be much more biased. It might just represent part of the population if it's about people that you're dealing with. So bias might get actually much stronger when you use AI.
They're reinforced. Isn't that the discourse that talking about chat GPT, that actually it's trained with huge amount of data, but it's the data anyway also found in internet, and we all know what kind of stuff you can find on internet.
Right, exactly.
So you find from racism to anti-Semitism to violence to whatever.
Yes.
Bad language.
Yeah.
And
this is a huge job for OpenAI and other producers of language models to try to get rid of the harmful data and make sure that the data they use is as fair as possible, as high quality as possible, but still it's dominated by English data.
Yes.
from the US. So the worldview of ChatGPT is very much a Northern American one.
Yeah, sure. Because it's as good as the data fed into it.
At most as good, and it can be also worse.
And who regulates this kind of things? Of course, now this is something that it's American-based company, but generally speaking, like, is there regulation? Is it just an open field?
There is not too much regulation, really, especially not in the US. In Europe, there is more, and now the European Union has been designing the AI Act, which would regulate the use of AI. And it remains to be seen if this act will actually pass before the next European elections or not, whether it will take effect or not. But if it does, then there will be more regulation, much more regulation in Europe regarding the use of AI.
And they are for privacy or for misuse, or
it's more misuse. Privacy has been pretty much taken care of by the European Privacy Act, but this is more about avoiding the risks of automated decision making, for instance, on individuals. So, as an example from the academic world where I come from, according to this planned act, using AI, and we are now mostly talking about the machine learning based methods that are difficult or impossible for humans to interpret how they work. Use of this kind of AI to student recruitment, student admission, would not be completely forbidden, but if we wanted to use such a system, we should very carefully document and test it, make sure that
that it's fair
works in a fair way.
Yeah, of course. You don't want that it has built-in biases and or that it's
exactly. Recruitment is another example. So these are kind of basic rights of people, and where they need to be treated equally and fairly, and handing over some of the responsibility to programs that nobody necessarily knows exactly how they are working is risky.
Yeah. This uncertainty that no one understands how things work, it still sounds in my head like a bit worrisome. But of course, it is the impact that this kind of program can have. It's close to the function, the reason why they have been created. So the maximum damage that this recruiting selective machine learning program, the maximum damage it can do, it does damage to when selecting.
Right.
It's not ruling the world. It's not destroying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Finland,
it might give unfair advantage or unfair disadvantage to some groups of people.
Yeah. Based on some clinch or some poor data or poor data analysis.
Exactly. Yes.
You just put out a book, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Mikä tekoäly on 100 kysymystä ja vastausta. So what is artificial intelligence and 100 questions and answers?
Yes, the book came out a month ago or so, and has been received well. The second, second print, second run has now been ordered. So
really good.
It's doing well.
What is... So I guess that because I wanted you here, because we're talking about this, it's so common, but what made you go for a book and questions and answers? So it's pretty like you want to teach, you want to underline problems differ.
Exactly. The starting point was when I saw different kinds of misunderstandings, misinformation in the media, also questions people had, what they wanted to know about. So I thought I'd love to write about what I know about AI with my 30 plus years of experience in the field. And I tried to write a book that is as easy to sort of read the structure of 100 questions and answers is part of the design of making it as easy to read as possible. You don't need to read it from the beginning to the end. You can open it anywhere and see what's the question on this page. There's always an answer, which is like just one sentence, and then a bit longer answer, which also is very short, just 1 or 2 pages. So it's very concise. I've tried to make it very simple and to the point, which has been, by the way, a very nice exercise for me as a scientist, because in science, we do the opposite. We need to be detailed and exact and exhaustive in when we explain things. And here, I've tried to be as simple as possible.
Accessible to a wider range of readers, for sure.
Exactly, yes.
What was the most difficult question to answer to?
The most difficult question to answer, maybe it is, what is AI?
We go back to the beginning.
To the point that the book actually has this question several times and gives several different answers. Just sort of to drive home the point that AI is not a single thing. It's an umbrella term for lots and lots of different techniques
programs and applications. What are the beneficial? We were talking that there are beneficial applications of AI, and I guess we are living them day by day, and we are even not noticing some of the applications.
Right, they are all around us, and they have become so daily, or sort of everyday applications, features for us that we don't actually think of that. Right now, when I'm talking, there's probably AI in analyzing and processing the voice, making sure it's good for the recording for the podcast. Take my iPhone. The mobile phone is full of AI in every single app, in the way it processes sound, it transmits it in the network, and so on. Camera, lots and lots of AI. Many of the features, let's say in a camera, like when many years, decades ago, the first pocket cameras, when they started automatically focusing, that was kind of wow. It can focus itself. Or then the next thing was that it can recognize a face and focus on the face. Then it could recognize if the face is smiling or not. And shoot the photo when the person is smiling.
And that's data analysis live in the exact moment in which you are shooting, and then it's producing you some sort of outcome. That's the face.
So all of this has required AI, but we don't really think of it as AI anymore, since it's not new, it's not exciting, it's routine.
Yeah, it's true. It's tiny. It's even in your phone.
Yeah. And take an example, social media you mentioned before. So there's lots of AI in the algorithms that decide what is shown to us on social media. Again, based on data on what we do, to what kind of updates and messages we react, what our friends do, how they react, and so on. And
that's, I don't know if you ever heard this kind of a test that have been done, for example, in taking a new computer and starting, for example, I know I could start suddenly, I buy a new computer and I start to only Google for kitty cats. And I only go and look for kitty cats. And then suddenly, like, my computer little by little is just only about cats. And it's offering me everywhere cat stuff and cat products and cat movies and cat videos and friends that make cat comments. And that's all fun, because it's an experiment you can do by yourself. But what if then I start Googling racism stuff? Then it becomes the same. So that's a wrong application of a smart algorithm.
That's one viewpoint, and then there are other bad sides, like in social media, the algorithms that decide what we see are tuned not to show us what we want to see, but to show us what arouses us, what makes us want to see more, makes us stay longer in the social media application, because then we can be shown more ads, and then the commercial social media platform
The benefit
makes
is
money
towards
from
the
that.
company. Yeah, it's not towards me.
Yeah, and the side effect is that we, like I said, we get content that we, not the content that we want or need, but the content that sort of
Triggers us more.
triggers us, and the grows from our low instincts.
Yeah.
Maybe something that provokes us, and it might go sort of to more extremes.
Yeah, until violence and
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that said, it's something that I am kind of like scared in that sense, because of, well, I have small kids, so I know as an adult that I've been growing without all that, and now I know that like new generations anyway are growing, and they don't understand that actually that is fed to them. And it's kind of like they might think that that's normal, but actually that is not normal. That is just fed to them.
Yeah, right.
It's a moral question, you know.
It is. A nice comparison might be to music recommendation. So Spotify recommending music based on what you've listened before.
And based on the crowd of all the users.
Right.
Yeah.
Based on similar users to you and so on. And that can work very nicely. You get music that you like, and not always, but
I think my Spotify algorithm works pretty well.
Yeah, but then with content like in social media, with videos and text where there's actually substance in the content, not just music, like you said, then it becomes risky, because there are companies, other bodies behind these systems, or sometimes trying to take advantage of these systems in making their material
benefit.
Getting benefit, and maybe providing information that is not always truthful or is biased.
Yeah.
And we are susceptible to that.
True. Yeah. Of course, this the rush for the money anyway. It makes also people behave, or company make kind of edgy rules that they are maybe not so much. Would think that they go a bit into a not moral side of life, but because of money. What is Finland? How would you describe Finland in the machine learning and AI environment? Are we in research, at what kind of stage, what kind of ranking we are in the world? If we talk about companies operating here, how is Finland ranking generally, both for brains coming out from here, from research, from companies that are actively making money or making application for AI and with AI?
On research, on the scientific side, we are doing fine, I think. We have lots of research on AI in many Finnish universities on a very high level. Then the downside is that we don't have the mass that many other countries have, so we are still a small nation. But compared to the size, we are doing very fine. So there's really high level research.
Is the investment coming from the government or from European Union? What is?
It's both. So we have the Academy of Finland. Now, what their current name is in English, I can't remember.
Because you have the Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence, but that is not financer. That is
that's being financed by the Academy of Finland and other bodies. European Union is an important source of funding. They have lots of projects where Finns collaborate with other units from the Europe. The industry, to my understanding, is very much interested in AI, is investing in AI, make clever applications and uses of AI. But then again, we lack the flagship companies that would sort of be built on AI or providing AI services. And actually, the whole of Europe lacks that. So we don't have really anything comparable to OpenAI or Google or Amazon and so on.
Yeah. Of course. Just behind. I had Silas Ma as a guest a while ago, and he was talking anyway that in F-Secure there is a lot of AI investment, and there is this fight in AI against like AI cyber pirates, and then and then there is also AI on the good side of things, and there is a lot of investment in this side. And F-Secure anyway, it is a company that has muscles to put
absolutely
behind this kind of research.
Yeah, and I think in this very building where we are, Nokia used to have offices before, and I know current Nokia is also very active in the field of AI. Not that it would show to consumers, the end users, in any particular way, except that their products hopefully are safer and more efficient, and more competitive.
I know that also tele operators are doing the same kind of AI for preventing problems and getting to understand like how can they make better services. But of course, it's not so tradable or sellable or making so big news like our friends there overseas.
Absolutely.
In America.
Tomorrow, I'll go and have a chat with people from the National Opera and Ballet on AI.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's interested in using AI in their operations in various ways.
In the ballet.
Yeah. Maybe not so in the shows that we see, but in, let's say, in the planning of their operations and the use of resources and all that.
I know of a test that has been done in theaters where each seat had a camera in front of it, and they were showed different kind of sketches and fast short movies, and they were measuring reactions of the face and micro movement of the muscles of the face, because as you know there are many more than just like smiling. It's plenty, thousands of muscles there, and then to get to understand what with AI, what triggers what in people, and what is the most common reaction to what.
Right, and there has been similar work where the air has been analyzed almost in real time. So what kind of compounds people exhaust, like what does fear smell?
All right,
and sort of getting different kinds of reactions from the sort of bodily exhaust of
from
gases,
sweat to of course, because of course our hormones they mixed with our sweat then. That's really interesting.
Or breath and
breath. That's really interesting. How are women in AI in Finland?
I think they are doing fine. We don't have as many women in the areas we do have men, but we still have a good amount of women. I think there's an active community of actually under the title Women in AI. So they network among themselves, and I think that's good. We need not just women, but we need more different kinds
diversity.
Of people. We need a lot more diversity in the field, in the people who develop applications, design, use them, because if it's just a narrow set of minds, they will not think of so many different aspects. They maybe don't take into account other kinds of people. So it's not just women, but it's really diversity in all respects.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I don't know exactly, but normally diversity has been known and proved to bring more to the table.
Absolutely, yeah.
To develop things faster and better on a wider range of aspects.
So what we are doing in our education is that we've added courses in philosophy of AI in our AI curriculum. So people who study basically mostly computer science for the AI, they also have some exposure to thinking from philosophy, and that's important. and we are expanding that to cover a broader range of different approaches. We'd like to have degree programs where there's actually strong components from both sort of natural sciences, computer science, as well as humanities, social sciences, to have people in the future with degrees where they have combined in good amounts these
What kind of benefits do you think? Is it just to have a person that it's a more whole as a person in body, spirit, and understanding, or is it do you see some practical?
No, it's very concretely. If one designs, let's say, a new application using AI, if they don't have anyone in the team with the skills and education and mindset of thinking of the system from the point of view of the users, of the organization, maybe even the society, and the effects it might have on people, we are losing so much. And of course, we and companies, we are doing that, but I think we need to do it even more.
Yeah, I understand the bigger picture, and the application, the final application of it is as important as the mathematics behind or the hardcore
and
calculation.
Maybe even in the first point, rethinking if we actually should build this application or not. Is this something we want to automate, or is this actually something where it's better that humans are in the loop?
Yeah. Many people are because there is a lot of this discussion. Of course, it expands to robotics, but it expands to the fact that like a lot of this, a lot of our tasks might be replaced by computers or artificial intelligence, and then robotics. Why not? But still, there is a lot this talk about that people need people to interact in certain matters, and people would like to have people to interact with. So like. AI can check your scans and check if your lungs, but you rather want someone to come and talk to you about your lungs and have
good point.
Human touch,
and maybe also the human having the overview of the situation. So maybe my scans show something, but then the physician who knows me or even just sees me in the same room can tell a lot about my condition. So it might be useful for the diagnosis, but especially for the interaction, like you said.
Because the topic is that like there would be no work anymore, and everything would be automated, and everything would be digitalized, and So are you part of this change? Are you putting us all out of work?
Well, that's my dream, to put us out of work, have the computers and the machines do the work, but then we should, as a society, we should share the benefits with the society and with members of the society, so that the benefits don't go only to the handful of companies who own these systems.
Yeah, that is the basic income theory, that everyone should receive a basic income.
For instance, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum has estimated that 1/4 of jobs will disappear as the result of AI and other advanced technologies, but at the same time, at least the same amount of jobs will be created. And my understanding is that in the past, when there have been technological revolutions, the same has happened. Old jobs have disappeared. There's been more work actually afterwards, and the well-being has improved. But it's not a natural law, so I think we should be careful.
Well-being, I don't know if I will sign to that. I think that the well-being actually has not gone up, but at least the purchase power that like we face compared to the second industrial revolution.
Right. Okay. At least economical well-being.
Yes.
Yeah.
So exactly. Of course, there are different kind of well-beings. The economical and the power, the purchase power for sure didn't improve it that much. But of course, there is inflation, all that. But the problem is that the changes in duties that will come and appear, they require certain skills that, as we know, they might not be so easily to be acquired and to be. You can shuffle
Right.
people around.
Yeah.
When the first car came out, it was easy to shuffle away the people, shoveling away the poo from the horses, right, and redirect them to the fabric, to the production line. But now we're talking about the different kind of shift.
Right,
The fourth
and we don't know
industrial-
exactly what the
shift,
end results will be. It's clear that if this prediction of 1/4 of jobs disappearing, but then an equal amount of new jobs coming in, if this will happen, there still is the question that it's not going to be the same people. Not all of those who are replaced will have a job in the
Sure.
world afterwards. So what do we do as a society with those
Altogether,
people
yeah.
who don't have jobs, who are maybe not qualified for jobs anymore? At the same time, how do we make sure there are people in the job market for the new jobs?
Yeah,
We already now have a shortage of employees.
yeah. In the AI.
No, I mean in general, not just AI. I think the new jobs that will be created, some of those will be in AI.
Really technical,
But,
so yes.
Yeah, but only some of those. I guess many of the new jobs will be created elsewhere when there is a new workforce available. So some of the people will shift. Then there will be new opportunities that we can't even think of, new
Exactly, yes,
services,
that's for
products
sure.
you can produce with the help of these new technologies and completely new jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are impossible to foresee, and just the fact that, for example, some people nowadays can, and this I, because I'm an old man in that sense, that people, when I was young and I'm only 40, people could not make a brand out of themselves and become a known person and a brand ambassador. And nowadays, with social media and all this Instagram, you can become an ambassador of a brand yourself and start yourself to be paid for living just the life you would like to live, for example. So that it's something that new platforms and AI has allowed, an open a job description, a job possibility that
right.
wasn't before.
Right, yeah.
And
of course, it's
it
only
gives-
realistic for a tiny fraction of the people who
That's
try.
for sure.
But
That's
yeah,
for sure.
it's an example of a new job.
Yes, yes. Consciousness, AI and consciousness. There is thinking that one day there will be a break point. There will be a moment in which AI might become conscious and cross this kind of boundary. And then we talk about this artificial intelligence, then this intelligence become conscious, so it will become, or at least there is the thinking and the talking that it will become like us, even much more powerful. If we consider, we consider two things. One, it's like how much data can AI crunch, and they won already. It won already over us because it's much faster. It can dwell with much more information than us. And then the other is consciousness. That is probably not so easy to define why you are conscious on today and
Right.
why is then a computer conscious.
It seems it's a very difficult concept even for the philosophers and cognitive scientists. My understanding is that consciousness is a subjective experience. So I experience that I'm conscious. But it's essentially impossible to tell from outside if let's say a computer person, an animal, is conscious or not, because it's a subjective experience. And talking of conscious computers or computer programs, it's a fascinating thought and idea. I think for a computer program or a computer to become conscious, it should first of all be able to really interact with the world. And I'm not meaning just chat like in ChatGPT, but maybe being a physical being in the physical world, like a robot, being able to interact physically, move physically, to, more importantly, to interact with people in a social way.
Because there are, is it Alpha Robotics, they're doing like standing robots, jumping, doing flips.
Yeah, right,
And, yeah.
right.
So
But consciousness often means you are conscious of yourself.
yeah, the
And now-
space you
Right.
you
So
feel
so you have to be separate from the rest. You cannot be conscious of yourself unless you realize you are separate from the world outside.
and still part.
And so you have to be first in the world outside to realize that you are something different from the rest, and that starts to make you conscious. And we are far from that. Now, a language model, ChatGPT, can talk and it can pretend like
Exactly.
it's
People
conscious.
say that they have a relationship with it.
Yeah, and that's we can go there if we have time. That's another thing, but that's all sort of just pretending, just putting out words
Yeah.
after one another that say something which the language model, ChatGPT, doesn't know what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So making a conscious computer, I don't know if there's anything that would fundamentally prevent that from happening, but we are nowhere near anything like that.
Yeah, I understand. I can see why it's good to study also philosophy, because then you can answer these kind of questions. Yeah, there is much more than just computational power, and
Absolutely, yeah.
and this understanding of your role, as you said, like as a different part of the world, but still within the world.
Yeah.
So you have like a difference, but then also something that puts you together, something common to the rest of, because we share the same kind of conscious idea. I think you feel conscious today, and I feel conscious today. I've felt since I was born, but we don't know what is the dog feeling for consciousness.
Right.
But most likely between dogs, they know their own way.
Right. So
They know that they feel all the same.
again, I guess consciousness is not a binary thing, and there can be different degrees and aspects of it, and I'm sure animals are conscious to some
Yeah.
respect.
At least some
degrees.
animals, dolphins and others, has been shown to be. But then we don't have, and we cannot measure this kind of thing, that is this machine thinking to be part of something, and does this machine relate to us or to other machine in the same way? And you put there something physical, that it has to be physical. Because you are humanizing humanizing AI, because that's our way of seeing things, that we need a body and we need the space.
Right. I think they need something to be the world, which is what surrounds them and what they are part of, but being independent in some respects of the environment. And it could be the physical environment, it could be the social environment, like other people or maybe other computer programs. But I personally think it needs interaction with the world outside of myself to become aware of myself.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting topic, because anyway, it's when we think about this scenario that I was talking about, the fact that the robots and AI will take over the world. It needs some sort of conscious that's the AI starts thinking that, like, okay, now I do stuff myself. They become conscious of being part of something, and then they can rule. And of course, we humanize this stuff, because why AI should have the need to use power? Why they would want to rule? Those are all things that belong to our flesh. So of course, we humanize the AI, making it like us, but being totally different. They might become conscious and sitting there and say, like, "What a beautiful day," and don't do anything.
Yeah.
But
The related point maybe is emotions. And emotions maybe drive humans in many ways to do things they do.
of course they do.
But again, it's very difficult to see computer programs having emotions. In humans, they are a biological phenomenon that results from the evolution, survival. And what we feel, the emotions, they are real emotions, but they are explained by biology and the evolution.
True.
Computer programs don't have anything like that.
Yeah. And they don't feel good or bad. They just execute until they're conscious, and we don't know that. But
yeah, even then, like the battery running out in my laptop, it doesn't in any way, it couldn't, I think, translate to the feeling of being hungry or of feared, fearing that
it will shut down.
I will shut down, because they just don't have that history, that sort of mechanisms that would have produced these feelings or emotions. On the other hand, it can be easily programmed in them to know that, okay, my battery is running out now,
run for the socket.
Something has to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because investigating this kind of matter that I think is fascinating, the consciousness and AI and robotics altogether. I stumbled then on Penrose, that it's a world famous mathematician, and he was also pointing out to this emotion and to the biology and the evolution, thinking that, like, okay, he was saying, of course I rephrase it, and I'm not as good as him, but the point is that it's not linear, that add more power to AI and then one day there will be the breakthrough and they become conscious. It's not only about power.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
And but that's something that many have theorized and thought, so more layer, more chips, more whatever. But it was going to the evolution and to how our brain, for example, is developed, and that we have area in our brain where, like, if you have ever seen this diagram where you see that, like, for example, what part of your brain commands the feet, and then you have them somewhere in the front lobe, and then all it's like really randomly positioned in our head. Of course, it's not random,
But still systematically.
it's systematic, and it is an evolution that it became from evolution. So everything has its place, its way, and why it's here and there. So there is, like, of course, because it talks about quantum and atoms, there is a quantum structure, he believes, not only like power, the way how things are disposed and placed, there is something really meaningful inside of it. So we might be anyway at one point part of, like, mathematics, geometrics, quantum physics, still a lot of hardcore numbers, but then we become conscious and we have an experience of ourselves in the world.
Right. We are in the world.
Yes, yes.
We interact with the world.
But power is not enough.
No, but power is needed, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's something that, as you said, there is no reason why that could not happen.
Yeah. As far as I know, there is no good reason why it couldn't in principle happen.
Yeah. Of course, we don't have a time lag for that, and hopefully, I don't know if I want to see that happening or not. But things are really fast. Isn't there how exponentially the technology is moving? I think that there is a function 10 times fold every 2 years. How is the
right, the Moore's law about the computing power.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about something like that, 10 times over.
Yeah, it doubles every 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, okay.
But that's exponential, so it's kind of exploding.
Yeah. Okay, did we cover everything we have to say about AI?
We covered a lot, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it because it's such a large and complex area. Yeah. But we've covered a lot of interesting points.
Yeah, I would be really interested in to know what the ballet people are wanting to know about AI and about you. I will follow you if you are. Are you on Twitter or are you on?
Yes, I am.
So we will.
Haba_TT.
Okay, then I will tag you also over. So people can follow. So thank you, Hannu, for this. It was fun and interesting. And
Thank you for the
educated us,
invitation.
even no problems. And again, your book was, you can tell, it is only in Finnish, right?
It's in Finnish, right?
Yeah, it was Mitä tekoäly on, 100 kysymystä ja vastausta. Otherwise, you have a lot of production in English, and you can find it in your on the Helsinki University.
Yes.
Helsinki.
University of Helsinki.
University of Helsinki website. Okay, thank you and bye.
Thank you.